everybody, Ben here for the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Top 5 Friday, where we get together and we have a look at the top 5 something probably to do with Blood Bowl. So we spent most of December deep in the realms of Dungeon Bowl. It's a great different way to play Blood Bowl. We have had a ton of fun playing it, and there is a ton more games coming of it. We've covered most of it, but one thing we have yet to touch upon are the wizards. And the wizards that each college gets access to one of each, are such a massive impact on the game if you can fit them in. Each wizard is tailor fit to the specific college. The fire wizard does fire things. The shadow college does shadowy things. And you know what? They play so well with how the college wants to do things. But bearing that in mind, we have got a list for you of the top 5 college wizards. Number 5 for me is the College of Metal. So the College of Metal is all about big bruisers and blitzers and punching things. And you know what? Its spell is a very cool one. Essentially, the more metal that the target has, the more likely they are to just be knocked out. And that's it. It's straight up knocked out. So the College of Metal wizard at the start of any one of your turns, not your opponent's turn, the beginning of one of your turns, you pick any one of their players. And you roll 2 dice. If it's underneath their armor, so if you're rolling against a dwarf with armor 10 plus, you've got a very good chance of rolling underneath it. If you're rolling against an elf or a Skaven lineman who've got armor 8 plus, you've got less of a chance, but still got more than evens. Basically, not a great skill to be using against something like a halfling or a snotling. However, you're not normally struggling to get them, off the pitch. This one here, though, roll underneath their armor and they are straight up knocked out. Now in Blood Bowl, that's quite a problem. In Dungeon Bowl it is less so, because after 1-2 turns, if their coach wants to use the magic sponge, they can be back in the game, but they will be out of the way for now. So this one here for the College of Metal, they don't have a lot of difficulty clearing tunnels. They've got plenty of blockers, but they don't have a big guy. The College of Metal lacks that element. They can absolutely outmuscle most of the colleges, but against the colleges that have the chonky boys, they will struggle. Enter the Metal Mage, and the Metal Mage is going to hit that target, knock it out, and get it gone. And this happens at the beginning of your turn. So some of the negative elements of Dungeon Bowl is that it can sometimes become a grindy tunnel fight. Okay, if the opponent spreads their defenses out, clogs up those tunnels, you're going to struggle to get through. College of Metal uses this wizard to knock out one of those targets, blitz out the other one. They can punch a pretty good hole. Now, this doesn't have a huge amount of speed here, but actually a human blitzer being able to smash through 7 squares is a huge chunk of the dungeon, and this wizard really fits in with what they want to do, and it gives them that missing piece. They're stronger than most, but they do lack that ultimate punch, and they don't have a huge amount of speed. This makes that hole, and actually their speed will carry them through. That's why this wizard, this mage, this College of Metal dude, my number 5. Number 4 for me is the College of Heavens. So this is a really interesting one, and it is a chain lightning spell. It's really cool. So the whole deal is, at the beginning of your turn, start of any one of your turn, not your opponent's turn, you pick an opposing player on the pitch. And then you roll armor for them. That's it. It automatically hits. Okay, there's a chance that it won't break their armor. That's a nuisance. But actually, it automatically hits. So you're going to get a really good chance to knock down, to stun one of their dudes. But that's just the beginning. This spell's really cool. The whole idea is that it will chain in between players. So you roll for the first guy, roll armor, whether the armor succeeds or not, you then roll a dice, and on 3+, it arcs. It bounces off and hits somebody else within 2 squares. You pick that next player. It can actually be one of your players at this point. So if you can spread it around. So if your opponent's players are not bunched together, but you've got a dude in the middle, you can intentionally arc it to one of your players. They roll for armor, and then you roll again. On a 3+, it bounces to someone else in 2 squares, and you keep going until you roll a 1 or a 2 on one of these spells. There's no mighty blow, there's nothing like that, it's just a straight up armor roll. But we've talked about this. Dungeon Bowl can get very congested, and if they've got a tunnel full of dudes, there's a reasonable chance that a cheeky blast from the College of Heavens could bounce through their players, arcing lightning as it goes, and I don't know, maybe you'll score some sweet stuns, some removals, some just get people out of the way. There's a reasonable chance here that you are going to roll armor on, I don't know, 2 or 3 players, and if they're bunched up, which does happen in Dungeon Bowl, this can be a big game changer. Now the College of Heavens has got plenty of speed, it's got plenty of things that it can do, but it does lack a bit of the punch, and actually this is a pretty cool way to do it. Number 3 is the College of Shadows. So basically the College of Shadows is all about sneaky stuff. That's why there's Dark Elves, that's why there's Skaven, that's why there's Goblins. And it's great. It's got some cool agility, it's got some cool speed, it's got some really great Blood Bowl players. But it can really get stuck. There's no strength 4 blockers, there's no strength 5 big guys. So if your opponent tunnels up and does a proper cage, it's more than a cage. I guess we need to call this a new tactic. What should we call it? The portcullis tactic, okay? So they barricade all the tunnel entrances with their players. It can be really difficult for the College of Shadows to get through. If any of you have played the boxed game of Dungeon Bowl or watched either of our games, you will know that the College of Shadows can get a little bit stuck if the College of Fire plays really well. And you know what? The College of Fire is not the only strong college out there. Heavens has Sauruses. Sorii. You know, the College of Metal has got Black Orc blockers, Big Un blockers, and Bloodseekers. There's plenty of meat in Dungeon Bowl, and that can be a real pain for the College of Shadows. But this spell, not only is it thematic, it's called Shadowed Step. It gives them the missing piece, but it's not a gimme. Okay, so beginning of any one of your turns, you pick any one of your players that doesn't have the ball. Okay. It's not an auto win, so you can't just be like, hey, got a runner with the ball, I will teleport you. You can't do that, but you can teleport absolutely anybody else. And when I say teleport, you basically remove it from the pitch and place him back anywhere you want within 5 squares of movement. Not even movement, just within 5 squares. So the whole goal here is that you've got a scoring threat. This is going to help you get the other side of the wall. The other side of that portcullis, okay? You just proper Night Stalker this one, you bamf to the other side of the line. And that's kind of brilliant. There's no roll, there's no chance of failure, there's no chance of this going wrong. This is just part of your game plan as the College of Shadows. I'm going to grab the ball, I'm going to feed it to my Skaven thrower, best thrower in the game. I'm going to take my Gutter Runner or any one of my Dark Elves and I'm going to bamf them on the other side. And you chuck them the ball. Now obviously you have to bamf them the other side at the beginning of your turn, not just during the turn, but actually this is enough. And from all the games I've played with the College of Shadows, having the ability to take one of my players and place them the other side of their horrible line and all the tunnels that they've managed to fill up. You've got a Gutter Runner. Gutter Runner's movement 9, edge 2+. 5 more squares, that's 14 squares. If you can get anywhere on the other side of your opponent, this guy's got as much movement as you need to get to the end zone. And from there, it just gives you an opportunity. So it's not an auto win, not at all, but this one is my number 3 because it has the biggest, I feel, gap fill of what this college needs. This college needs an opportunity to break through, to get on the other side. And turns out that teleportation will do that for you. Number 2 is the College of Fire. And why? Because it's Fireball. This is just Fireball from Blood Bowl. At the start of any one of your turns, no, at the start or end of any of their turns, you choose a square on the pitch. And then you roll a 4+ for anybody in that square or next door to that square. So 9 squares of movement, area of effect. You just drop a teeny tiny dungeon nuke in there, and on a 4+, they get knocked over with Mighty Blow. So, wow, man, Dungeon Bowl, it gets congested, but it doesn't matter. This is not an auto bomb, but this has got the opportunity to take out a ton of players. And we've talked about it already. There is a great likelihood that those corridors are gonna get full. And having 9 squares with a 4+ chance to knock them down and roll against their armor with Mighty Blow, this can make an absolute monster of difference. This is just playing Space Hulk, using the heavy flamer in the room. You roll for absolutely everybody. Now you can knock over your own dudes, you can melt your own dudes as well. It's definitely not elegant in any way, shape or form. And the College of Fire, this is an interesting one, because this is probably the spell that would be the most effective against the College of Fire. You are, as the college, like to gum up. You like to hole up and just defend. Well, you know what? When it's time to turn the tide, if you've got the College of Fire, if you've got the wizard for the College of Fire, you can just blast open a hole. You don't have a ton of speed on this team. The fastest player you have is the Corn Lineman or a Dwarf Runner at speed 6. Then you've got Ogres at speed 5 with Gnoblars as well. 4+, 9 squares. You roll for each square, but this is huge. I love a wizard in Blood Bowl. And actually having the opportunity to knock over a bunch of players. In Dungeon Bowl, you're more likely to get, what, 3 of their players in a 3x3 square area? 3 lots, 3 chances to 4+ dudes. It's just basically 3 blocks with an ogre. And that is, for me, my number 2. And my number 1 is the College of Death. This is a very cool spell. It's got a setup cost. If you guys have played Magic the Gathering or listening to Limited Resources, my favourite podcast probably in the world, there is a setup cost. This is not automatic in any way, shape or form. In fact, the slide is a little bit wrong there. Start of your turn, pick any opposing player that is being marked by one of your players. And then roll for injury. No armor, no nothing. You just straight up roll for injury. Now, why is this my number 1 when some of the other spells are so dynamic? When it comes to the College of Death, you are not struggling for players, you are not struggling for defense, you are not struggling for an ability to stay on the pitch. Well, you are kind of struggling. You've got some ghouls and whites, so you've got plenty of opportunity here. But again, it's that breakthrough ability. And this is so thematic. This is the College of Death. This is Death's Touch. You enchant a zombie for 1 turn and the player standing next to him is stunned, is knocked out, is casualtied. It's just straight to the best 2d6 roll out there. And you just hope you roll more than an 8. The fireball's got a chance to miss them. It's got a chance to not break their armor before you even get there. Sure, you need to make sure that somebody's standing next to them, and that is definitely going to be an issue, but actually you've got zombies. And that's it. That's the brilliant thing here with the College of Death, is you're going to have dudes. You are going to have dudes that are around. They may not be exactly where you want them to be, but at some point in the game you are going to have a great opportunity to just straight up basically nearly remove one of their players. And this is just automatic. It breaks that armor, and that's why I think it's so powerful. Now, all of these 5 spells are great. They're thematic for the college, and they give a little bit of what that college misses. The shadow one is great. It can bamf. It needs setup cost. Fireball could be great, but actually it can hurt your own dudes. They're all really good, and they all kind of support the college itself and its playstyle. What happens when you play an undead team? Undead, Khemri, or Necro, zombies and skeletons tag your dudes, right? There is always a zombie or a skeleton on one of your players because that's how they play. They stick to them. That's their job. Their job is to distract and be there in base contact. Any one of those guys can just give you Death's Touch, and you don't even get a chance to play chess to win that out. You just go straight down, and that's why I love this one. Now, the other 3 colleges we had not mentioned, there's some cool spells in there too. The College of Life, basically you choose one of their players at the start of their turn, and it loses tackle zones and cannot be activated. So that's huge as well. I can't really remember the other 2. The College of Beasts is wicked. You just choose one of your guys. Any blocks they make are 3 dice. That's it. Just 3 dice. And if you've got Frenzy, that's twice. That's huge as well. The setup cost is there, and you need a guy. it's a really interesting one. And the last college that I can't remember is the College of Light, which means your opponent's players can't give supports for this turn, which is also quite cool and quite thematic. It basically Gandalf's at Helm's Deep, okay? It blinds all of the pikemen, they can't support each other, and you can run on in. But these spells here all give a legitimate edge. This is a proper, like, if you're playing Magic, you've got a kill spell. You've got something that's going to do something. The shadow one is the only one that's not essentially removal, but it gives you so much of what you're missing. It is just so important. Honestly, these 5 are excellent. The other 3 are fine. The light one is a bit lame, but it is going to come in handy. And for 100k in Dungeon Bowl, it's amazing. But one thing I will say, and I think I have to say about these wizards, is if you are playing a Dungeon Bowl event, you have to include the wizards. They just give that theme. And if you've been playing the Dungeon Bowl box set and you're playing Fire versus Shadow and Fire versus Shadow and Fire versus Shadow, give them the wizards. It's gonna hurt Shadow when when the Fire Mage just drops a bomb in a room and nukes everybody. Yeah, sure. But they're already getting pounded to the ground anyway. It doesn't really matter. Like, you've got tanks, now you've got napalm. Fantastic. But actually, what you've got is that ability to bamf to the other side of the line. It adds theme, it adds a scoring opportunity for both teams, and it just brings the flavour of wizards. And come on, more wizards is more better. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think of this top 5 and how you found Dungeon Bowl and Dungeon Bowl Wizards. Genuinely want to know, because I really do love it. I know it's not perfect, but I think that makes me love it even more. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy wizarding. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.